You know, a lot of people have been asking me about this, my stress webinar. And people want to know, why is it that they would want to watch something like this? Well, today I want to just share just a couple of things that I think will help you. So when I'm telling people how to not allow stress to take over their day, one of the first things that I talk to people about is writing down their stress triggers. In other words, what are those things that cause you to get stressed out? What are they? So my suggestion for you, and I'm going to do that today, is just make a list. You're going to have triggers on one side. On the other side of that, you're going to have how you typically responded to those things. Now I'm talking about people that haven't gone through my course or through my training. So here's an example for me. For triggers, what would be my stress trigger is bad drivers. Okay, so write down whatever it is. Bad drivers. Bad drivers. So when I'm dealing with somebody who's a bad driver, how does that get me upset? What does it do to me? Well, for me, it would just plain stress me out. So it create this bad energy. So I'm just going to say, stress me out. Literally, stressed me out. What else gets you stressed out? What is it? Like, if somebody's taking too long, I used to be very impatient. I'm not like that anymore, so I'm impatient. So my stress trigger is people keeping me waiting. So I'm just going to say people keeping me waiting. All right, people keep me waiting, that would stress me out. How would it stress me out? Well, I'd get irritated by it, just mentally irritated by it. So irritated. All right, what's another stress trigger that used to be a stress trigger for me? Somebody raising their voice at me, all right? Somebody yelling at me, I'll just do yelling, person yelling at me for no reason. Person yelling at me. All right, so what was my response? Well, friends, my response was, before, I'd yell back. So write it down. My response would be yell back. All right, another stress trigger. If I couldn't get my way, you're having a discussion with somebody, and I always felt like if I thought I was right, I'd pursue that. If I couldn't get my way, that would kind of like make me irritated and anxious. So what would bother me is, like, let's just say somebody who didn't understand that I was right. Somebody that didn't understand. Stress trigger would be somebody that doesn't understand what I'm trying to tell them. People who don't understand me. People who don't understand me. So when I would encounter people that don't understand me, what would that do for me? Well, it would be irritation, because I felt like, what do you mean you don't understand? I'm making it really plain and clear. It would make me, let's say, maybe anxious, whatever it is. And I didn't spell that right. It doesn't really matter. The whole thing I'm trying to get you folks to do is just, when you make this list, make it complete, make an exhaustive list. These are triggers. These are things that can cause stress in your life. And how you respond is how it affects the rest of your day. So when I run into somebody and they say, look, the day was great, but then X, Y, and Z happened, and they said now their day is wrecked. Well, they had a trigger. Something triggered their response. And guess what the response was? They got angry and they would say, somebody, my day's wrecked now. Those kind of things. So writing down your triggers, writing your response, now you know what the response is. So how do you gain victory in those areas if you know that those things are stressing you out? Well, last thing I'm going to share with you is you value check the triggers. What do I mean about value checking the triggers? You look at, okay, bad driving. I said it would stress me out. Why did it stress me out? because of the erraticness of the person driving, but I could not change those things, so there's no value in that. So there's no value in me getting upset with those people. There's no value in it. So since there's no value, and guess what I do? I recognize that I don't like it, but then I catch and release it. So when you catch it, that means stresses me out. Catching it is recognizing that there's no value in me getting stressed out. Then I release it. When you release it, you cancel out the very thing that stressed you out. This is really helpful. Every day is a great day for me. Whether I'm succeeding at something I'm working on or not, it's a great day because I don't allow myself to get stressed out. All right, number 2 I wrote down, this is just a few. People who keep me waiting. I'd be so irritated. You go someplace and you're waiting for your food, you're waiting for your order. My friends, there's a reason for everything. If somebody's just training in, they're going to take them a while to maybe learn what's going on in a restaurant. We've all been there before. So value check. There's no value in me getting irritated about it. So I stopped getting irritated about it. I look at that and I go, that just means I need this time for something else. I recognize there's no value. I catch it by recognizing there's no value. I cancel it and I release it. So you catch and release. Catch and release is recognizing there's no value, let it go. Person yelling at me, somebody's yelling at me. I would yell back. Why would I yell back? Because I would allow their yelling to get me stressed out. Think about it. Recently we had 4 or 5 people shot in Minneapolis the other night. How do the things start? They don't just start from people shooting. Usually there's something. There's a verbal altercation or something, and an individual allows themselves to get irritated or stressed out, and they fight back. They say you either run or you fight. People nowadays, they're fighting over things that they shouldn't fight over, but they got to learn to control those emotions and not allow these things to affect them. So I don't yell back anymore because I recognize there's no value in me doing that. So what I do is I recognize there's no value. I don't yell back. I cancel that. And so by me not yelling back, I'm not allowing myself to get stressed out because it all starts with your response. The trigger is a signal for you that there's something going on. And it's like that. I talked about this in a video before. That stress trigger is like that little tickle you get when you feel like there's something in your throat. And if you're smart, you get up, you gargle with salt water or something, right? Hot salt water. If you don't, that can fester into something else. Now, last I have down here, people who don't understand me. You know, you're trying to explain your way to somebody. Why would this upset me? Well, I kind of felt like I was right. And you know, when you feel like you're right, it can really irritate you when another person doesn't receive that. Well, my friends, and I talk about this in a webinar as well. You don't have to be right. So I recognize I don't have to be right. People don't have to understand me. Maybe I need to explain myself better. And even if you explain yourself thoroughly and they still don't understand you, don't do what I did. Don't get upset about it. Don't get anxious about it. Don't get worried about it. Don't get concerned about it. So you recognize there's no value in that. Getting bothered by the fact that a person doesn't understand you. You catch it, release it. You're catching it by acknowledging that there's no value in it, my friends. So that's what we're talking about in dealing with stress triggers. That's one of the first things that you need to learn is recognizing those triggers, recognizing how you typically respond to those triggers. Then, is there any value in those things? And once you realize there's no value in those stress triggers, that's one of the first steps to actually getting to the point where you can totally eliminate stress out of your life. There's going to be a link on the page. Click the link. It's a free webinar. I'm hoping it will change your life. It's actually changed my life. It's the only reason that every single day of my life is a good day, and it's a day that's stress-free, my friends. I'm hoping this has served you well. Ron Henderson, aka the Fitness King. Stay blessed, stay stress-free, and again, recognize the triggers, respond appropriately, value check the triggers, catch them, release them. That's one of the first steps in having a much better day and a much better tomorrow, gang. We're going to see you. Stay fit, stay stress-free, my friends, stay stress-free.